football show. I want to tell you guys something right out of the gate here. The Eagles have had a meeting and an interview with Keely Ringo of Georgia. I'll give you the insight on him. He's great in pass coverage. He'd be a great blitzing corner. Athleticism off the charts. Doesn't have very good hands. Okay? If you're looking for high interception numbers, he's not going to be your guy. Doesn't possess the greatest hands and does get caught out of position. He's kind of like the guy Diggs in Dallas a little bit. Okay? So if you're Sean Desai and you're looking at him, you've got to not keep him in a box. Okay? You've got to kind of let him kind of work his way around and with a feel, because he's a field player. Okay, so if I'm going to make a comparison so you guys can put a face to it, he's a lot like that kid Diggs in Dallas. Okay? Don't put him on a rope. Don't put him in a box. Kind of give him a little latitude. He likes to cheat a little bit. Not the best hands. Okay? Sometimes, I wouldn't call him a great tackler. I think his hitting zone, I'll get a little more because people just told me that they interviewed him. Okay? And by the way, the kid Diggs is a Pro Bowler. So, just a kid. Look, the Eagles are probably going to sit down and interview, I would say, 30 people. So I wouldn't get caught up in one name. I mean, how many times have we had people on here? I mean, Frank Reich interviewed Jalen Hurts. Kevin Colbert, who was running the Steelers, interviewed Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts actually thought he was going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. So, and sometimes, can I tell you what they do in the interviews? Just so you know, they'll interview one kid to keep you away from another guy. So don't, read into what's coming out of the interview. I'm not saying that. But you know what a guy will do sometimes? They'll look at an offensive guard and they're looking for a defensive tackle, and they'll draft that guy in the draft because they're trying to keep you far away from what they're doing, because free agency is still around the corner and they don't want to give these other teams kind of tea leaves to read. Does that make sense? Okay, like you may be interviewing a corner, but you're actually looking at a defensive tackle or an edge rusher right now. And you're identifying like somebody that's in the draft, like the kid from Texas Tech, Wilson. And that may be somebody, you may not even interview him. You may wait to bring him into the NovaCare complex after the combines to have a conversation. So it's kind of like sometimes, again, this is a lot of smoke and mirror stuff here. A lot of misleading information is going to come out from now, free agency, and the draft. So don't be sold. Somewhere in the middle, the truth is going to be. Okay? I mean, that's pretty much like teams don't showcase what they're doing and their strategy at the combines. They try to be as covert as they possibly can. Okay? This isn't Washington, D.C. Okay? This isn't like the Trump files or Biden files where they're in your garage and everyone knows what's up. They're trying to mislead you as possible here. They're not showing you what their strategy is, because that's what this is. This is strategy. See, the problem that the Eagles face here is they got their coordinators fixed, but the problem they have is, where's the money? What's the money? I think more so that's the question. What's the money? Now, remember something. Howie has in the back of his mind, and I keep telling you guys this, and I'm glad that people are starting to come around understanding this. Jalen Hurts is going to make $4 million this year, no matter what. If he signs a $50 million a year deal or if he signs nothing, he's going to make $4 million this year. He's got one more year remaining. What they're talking about is the framework of the deal and the bonus. Okay? So the Eagles have one more year on this deal. Now, what they got to do is forecast, though. What's 2024 going to look like when Jalen Hurts' contract kicks in on the 2024 on March 16th? Because then the salary cap goes into fact and goes into place and $50 million hits. Players on your team. Watch this. I'll make a prediction to you. I guarantee you next year, this time, okay, if they sign Jalen Hurts, the Eagles will be over the cap. I'll make a prediction they'll be over the cap. If they sign Hurts to a new contract that kicks in March 16th of 2024, they'll be over the cap. Not bad. A lot of teams with big money quarterbacks are near the cap number or over just a little or under. You can't constitute. It's $50 million at 224. You can't keep all the 50 or 69 guys that you have on a team counting a practice roster. Okay? Got to start tapping their lines to steal their picks. Okay, let's do this. By the way, I got one question for you before we move on here. And the best quarterbacks in the NFC as of today. Rodgers is still in the NFC, in my opinion. You think Wentz is fixable? You think Carson Wentz is fixable? Take a look at these numbers. I asked the question, do you think Carson Wentz is fixable? Carson Wentz stats. His personality is atrocious. So is Aaron Rodgers. I get it. Poor comparison because that guy in Green Bay is great. I get it. Okay. Carson Wentz is 93-92 as a starting quarterback in National Football League. Actually, he's 46-45-1. He's got a 62.6 completion percentage. He's thrown for 22,000 yards, 151 touchdowns, 66 interceptions. The last couple of years, 1,755, 11 touchdowns, 9 picks. Indianapolis, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks. Philadelphia year, 26-20, 16-15. How old is he? He's 30. Had a year where he was 4,039 with 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Had another year where he threw for 33 touchdowns and led the NFL in quarterback percentage. Led the league in quarterback rating his second season in the league. Do you think he's fixable? Wentz's stats down like Watson. Well, before you start barking, Jalen Hurts has not had a season that remotely comes close to the best seasons that Carson Wentz has had. So before you start looking deeper into stats, I mean, he hasn't. This was a good year. This guy's had better years. And he's 30. Would I take Wentz over Hurts? No, not saying that. But your guy's not a prolific passer. Look at the numbers. They don't stack up. Now, numbers are deceiving. I got all that. Not debating this. I'm asking you a question about Carson Wentz, if he's fixable. What if Carson Wentz goes to Kansas City and Andy Reid? 5-star goes lies. Okay. Here's the truth. So they will put his face down. 4,039. 1 year. 3,782. 2 years. 33 touchdowns, 27 touchdowns, 27 touchdowns. He's had 5 years of better statistics than Jalen Hurts has ever had. Facts. Again, I'm not debating this. Jesus Christ, let's get off this. Is he fixable? If he goes to Andy Reid and sits behind Patrick Mahomes, where he knows he has no shot, there's no pressure, there's nothing there for it, do you think he can be resurrected? And maybe give the kid an opportunity to have a chance somewhere else. Do you think he could be saved? Can Carson Wentz be saved by Andy Reid? No, his ego would be destroyed being a backup. Yeah, but Marina, that's part of the growth. Know your role. Marina, sometimes you have to go through the ugly to see the light. And to me, hey, you're a backup now. Getting humbled might be the best thing in the world for him. Going to a place where he starts at a shitty place is not going to help him. It's not going to help him. You go to a place that's got Aaron Rodgers, or you go to a place that's got an established quarterback, you're being humbled. Maybe that's exactly what he needs. You take the year off behind Mahomes. You watch how Mahomes preps, talks to his team. Andy Reid deals with his player. You're telling me that wouldn't be beneficial to a guy who has physical talent? He's got numbers to show that he's done it. But there's something here going on. Or is he a guy that's just, he's 30. We're not talking about a 35-year-old guy here. We're talking about a guy who's got some talent. His numbers dictate that. He doesn't have a losing record as a quarterback. Is he a loser mentality? Probably. I mean, Washington didn't hate him. He just didn't win enough. He just didn't win enough, and he cost him too much. $28 million? Not going to work. $28 million for the production you gave the Washington Commanders is not going to work. Okay? Yale goes, why can't he stick? Yale, I just think that he has a mentality about him that he thinks he has to carry the team by himself, and he doesn't do the one thing that Jalen Hurts does. Jalen Hurts sees the field, sees the game. And I'll make the point to you, Yale, one of the most important things, I don't think Carson Wentz should retire. I think he should keep going until they tell him no. And here's the one thing that I see the difference between Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is running towards the sidelines. What will he do? He's not taking the loss. He'll throw the ball out of bounds. Carson Wentz will throw the ball into double coverage and get a pick. Where does that come from? Or a left-handed pass in his end zone. Dude, are you crazy? You know, when he was with the Colts, I might have seen the worst 8 minutes of quarterbacking in my life by him. A pick six he threw with his left hand, and then he threw another one, and it was all in 8 minutes. I said, I've never seen a quarterback with that high degree of talent play like that for 8 minutes. It was terrible. And how many times, I mean, I've had conversations about Wentz with Frank. Frank's like, we tried just coaching that out of him. It's impossible. I think you're born with that. You don't have to coach that into Jalen. I got a minus play heading my way. You know what Jalen does? Jalen figures a way to get out of the minus play. Wentz tries to figure out how he can make it a plus play. Hey, dude, there's a reason that there's punters in the NFL. Brady knows this. Hey, we didn't get the first down. Don't take a penalty. Don't take a minus play. Don't take a turnover and live to live another day. He can't do that. Mahomes struggles from that a little bit, and Andy has to reel him in sometimes. Can I tell you this? I'll say this to you about Patrick Mahomes. The greatest thing ever happened to Patrick Mahomes was Tyreek Hill not being on that team anymore. It's the greatest thing because it made him be patient. It made him have to play the game like Jalen. Because you didn't have that super deep threat. What did he do? He turned that year into, guess what? A record year. Most yardage in a single season, threw for 44 touchdowns, arguably his greatest year as a quarterback, and he won the Super Bowl MVP and regular season MVP. He was better without having Tyreek Hill. Can you imagine that? Wentz can't see that. But that's Reed coaching Mahomes into that. You got to have massive faith in your head coach when you take a player off the field like Tyreek Hill, and then you're better. Okay? PTB goes, why isn't Hurts' contract done? Because they wanted to get the coordinators in place. And they're not in a hurry. Can you imagine if Mahomes went to Chicago coaching Matt? Oh, my God. He'd be dead. Imagine if he went to New York with the Jets. He'd be dead. Okay? He totally would be. Dude, when you got coaches around you that buy into you, and the reason that Jalen Hurts is getting better, why is it that Jalen Hurts is getting better? You think it's that stupid coordinator, Shane Steichen? What they did I shouldn't say that. Let me back up on that. Steichen and Sirianni and Brian Johnson all went like this. We're going to put an RPO system together for this guy. His decision-making on a daily basis compared to Carson Wentz's, you can't compare them. Jalen Hurts' decision-making on the field when he sees a play, and you run can you imagine running an RPO? Brady doesn't have to worry about the run game. Brady worries about the high safety or a linebacker or an end or the front that he sets with his offensive line. That's why Ryan Jensen, that loss was enormous because you know why? He set the odd even front in pass protection. Jalen is smarter than Carson Wentz. Jalen has been through more. Okay? And by the way, I know that you guys keep losing over this fact. He's been coached better. Nick Saban, Lincoln Riley, Shane Steichen, his dad, Nick Sirianni. He's had a coach around him in Brian Johnson his entire life. Bill O'Brien, Steve Sarkisian. These are all high-end coaches that have had an influence on him. It's not like this guy was coached like, do you guys even know who the college coach at Wyoming is that had Josh Allen? Look at the shitty coaching he got there. The best coaching that Josh Allen has ever had has been in Buffalo. Doug Peterson, thank you, Dank. So when people go, well, this is like going to be like another year that he's going to be in the same system, that is a total benefit. Not clouding over that. But dude, the coaching pedigree, Saban, Nick, Peterson, dude, I mean, you have some of the best coaches in the NFL and the best coaches in college football around Jalen Hurts. And Jalen's taken all of that and used that to his advantage on how he sees the game. Wentz can't. Because North Dakota State, what do you learn playing against Little Sisters of the Poor or Helen Keller University? What could you possibly learn at North Dakota State? You think there's any coincidence that Trey Lance, one play Trey struggling in San Francisco? Who's he played? Do you understand that I had to actually YouTube Trey Lance's games because I never saw the kid play? Is that a real school? No, Yale, I made that up. No, I made that up. Jalen's had great coaching, but Jalen's he's taking full advantage of that. Dude, the 49ers took Trey Lance. Dude, there's only one way to save the Trey Lance disaster. Can I tell you what that is? Brock Purdy works out. Because if it doesn't, the draft equity you got to move into the two-hole that you surrendered to the Dolphins, people should be fired over that. Okay? You better hope the Brock Purdy deal works out because that's the only way you save that. In my opinion, Trey Lance, his ceiling, you're hoping it's Colin Kaepernick. Watch this. Is Trey Lance better than Colin Kaepernick? Absolutely not. Not right now, he ain't. Kaepernick was a force. He took a team to the NFC title game and won. And if the lights don't go out against Baltimore, they may win it. I mean, Trey Lance, if you're John Lynch, you're hoping he's Colin Kaepernick. Because right now, he looks like Colin Farrell. I mean, dude, Niners all damn day goes, finally get the chance to see what he's about. Really? What's this? You know what's crazy? John Lynch is kicking the tires on Tom Brady and making phone calls to him. He says, we may be looking for a veteran quarterback. What are you talking about? You got a veteran quarterback in Garoppolo. But now he's leaving. So get this, the Niners, look at their shitty decision-making at quarterback. Stupid pick in Trey Lance. Shit, you would have been better off with Mac Jones. You'd have been better off with Mac Jones. So you're going to let the guy who's 47-19 out of the building, who's taking you to NFC championship games and won a bunch of games for you, go look for a veteran guy because Purdy's not going to be available. And you wasted all that equity to get into the two-hole to go get a retread quarterback. And you're letting Garoppolo leave. Dude, that's decision-making right there and why San Francisco hasn't won a Super Bowl since Young. Right there. They've got every single component except the captain on the ship. They got a beautiful boat. They got all the stuff ready to rock, but they don't have the captain or they don't have the jockey. You know what it is more? They got Secretariat with no jockey. Ron Turcotte was on Secretariat and was a brilliant rider for Secretariat. That jockey is the guy that led that horse to water. Don't ever invest in the horse. Invest in the jockey. You have to have that. Haven't played enough games to call him a bust? Okay, well, who looks more efficient? Brock Purdy or Trey Lance? Yeah, let's move on. Because to me, I'm talking about Mr. Irrelevant and one-play Trey. One-play Trey. Dude, what if you put Tom Brady on that 49er team? That would be problems. That would be problems. Okay? One play Trey. Good grief. Okay? Hey, you guys want to look at the free agent running backs first? Or do you want to look at... No, I know what I'm going to do. We're going to look at the running backs here in a minute. And the reason I'm bringing this up, here are the quarterbacks that are going to be in the NFC as of March 2nd. Here's who the Eagles and 49ers and other teams have to maneuver through to try to get through to an NFC title game, potentially to Las Vegas in the Super Bowl. I've written these 10 guys down, and the 10th guy was a hard one for me to have to find. Here we go. The 10 best quarterbacks in the NFC on March 2nd are this. Number 10, Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is the 10th best quarterback. And did you hear what the general manager of the Giants, what's his name, Shonin? Did you hear what he said today? It's very disappointing that we're so far away in negotiations with Daniel Jones and his people on a new contract. I'm like, what? Daniel Jones and the Giants are far away in negotiations? I'm sorry. Hey, Giant fans, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say I would not be that far away from negotiations. I would be very close to telling you to get the F out of my office, and I'm done with this because I'm wasting valuable time here. Okay? And Tone's like, I've never seen a more delusional quarterback than Jones. Dude, you talk about overvaluing yourself? I would even make this. Dude, do I get Carson Wentz on a $5 million deal and bring him in over Daniel Jones? I mean, watch this. Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz? Probably Jones. Probably Jones. You know what I mean? Probably. I guess. How about Brian Daboll fixing Carson Wentz? He fixed Daniel Jones. Hey, man, I'll tell you what. If I'm Carson Wentz, I might go to the Giants with that coach. I might go there with him. He needs coaching. He turned Daniel Jones into a greedy dude. I mean, Brian Daboll must be hating himself. I made the guy better. Now he's shitting on us. This is crazy. So Daniel Jones at 10. Personally, I think he's a bum. Number 9. I know somebody is going to, you guys are going to go, Sills, really? I got Justin Fields here. There's a Wentz quality, not a Wentz, excuse me. There's a Hurts quality about him. He wants to get better, but man, he's in a shitty organization for quarterbacks. Rex Grossman, Jay Cutler. I mean, Cade McNown. Dude, it's a comedy show of Doug Flutie. I mean, really? Does he have any chance of succeeding in Chicago? I don't know. Maybe if I'm him, I want to get out of Chicago. Kyle Orton. Dude, we could sit here and laugh for hours on the Chicago quarterbacks that have been in that city. We could laugh for hours on who they've had. Bobby Douglas, Bob Avellini. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. Oh, man. All guys wearing funky numbers like number 11. Hey, you see a quarterback number 11, and number 19, and like that kind of shit, right? Dude, funny shit, man. Look, I don't know, man. There's quality. I think he got a little better. Okay? And I think if they coach him like Jalen Hurts, let's see what happens this coming year. Get him a wideout. Get him a wideout. Get him. I'd love to see DeAndre Hopkins up there with him, see what that could do. Or maybe go into the draft and get somebody in the draft as well. You guys are probably going to think this is crazy, but I got Dak Prescott at 8. This guy has fallen so far for me. What do I like Dak? Yes. Do I think Dak's a good dude? Yes. Do I think Dak's a good representative of the Cowboys? Yes. Do I think Dak's got talent? Yes. He owns the Eagles. It's the only component that I think that's keeping his job in Dallas is that he beats Philly. Okay? He's got to win, though. He's got a $42 million, it's $49.1 million number on him this year. Dak Prescott's going to make $49.1 million this year in Dallas. 49.1. I don't even know that dude, Neil. Hey, I know. Okay, you got me good. So he calls Dak Prescott Dick Trashcott. That sounds like somebody out of Dick Tracy, Neil. Dick Trashcott. That's too funny. Who's the starting quarterback of the Cowboys? Dick Trashcott. No, Dak Prescott. No, Dick Trashcott in Philly. Hey, in Philly, his name is Dick Trashcott. Oh, guess who's coming to the link this weekend? The Cowboys are coming to Dick Trashcott. I'm sorry. Hey, Neil, I'm stealing that from you, dude. That's too freaking funny, man. That's too funny. Dick Trashcott, a.k.a. Dak. Michael, thank you, man. God. Oh, my God. That is freaking funny. Who's the quarterback for the Cowboys? Yeah, Dick Trashcott. No, it's Dak. That's what I said. Oh, man. McCarthy calling plays for Dick Trashcott. I don't know. Because he's such in command of the Cowboys. McCarthy is a leader like Caesar, right? I feel comfortable going into battle. Why do I feel every time I go into battle with Mike McCarthy as my leader that I feel like he's going to start crying? Hey, right? If I've got my General Patton gets ready to go and he's storming the beaches of Normandy and he's in tears, I don't know. That might bug me. If Mike McCarthy's in tears, I'm going to be the play caller for you guys. You see what he said at the combines today? I don't have any urge to want to have the number one offense in the NFL. I have no desire to have the number one offense. I was like, I mean, dude, the Cowboys have Chris Farley as head coach, according to Tone. So Chris Farley's the head coach and Dick Trashcott's the quarterback. Something for SNL. Hilarious. And the owner? And the owner's the guy on Poltergeist. The guy in the hat on Poltergeist. Hey, is she home? I don't know, man. Looks like the guy on Poltergeist. Let me in. Let me in. Let me in. All right, let me move off of Dick Trashcott. It's crazy funny. Number 7. Top 10 quarterbacks in the NFC. What are the Eagles going to do at quarterback? Well, Mark, we had Bruce Arians on. They need somebody that resembles Jalen. Okay? They need somebody that resembles Jalen. Somebody like that fits the profile. I got Jared Goff at 7. Can you imagine that? I got Jared Goff ranked ahead of Dak Prescott. Dude. The Lions might draft a quarterback. But Jared Goff, he's playing pretty good up there. The Lions. Hey, you know, what's funny? Everyone's like, Matthew Stafford's this great quarterback. And he's had, let me think. So he's had Calvin Johnson and Cooper Kupp in his entire career, correct? He's won 1 Super Bowl. And he was horrible in Detroit. I don't know. This guy Goff, he's got to be 30. He's got an NFC title. He's turned the Lions around. I feel pretty good with him. I'm all right with him. I got Geno Smith at 6. Top 10 NFC quarterbacks on March 2nd here. I got Geno. Who would have thunk it? You think he could do it again? Think he could do it again? We'll see. Here are the top 5 quarterbacks now on March 2nd, heading into free agency, the combines. By the way, linebackers and defensive linemen are running right now. I got Kirk Cousins, Dak's cousin, at number 5. Puts up great numbers. Hey, you want to hear what the general manager and what the head coach said about this? Hey, here's an eagle knife to the heart. What's the number? I got the number. Hold on here. Somebody gave me the number. What's that number for Justin Jefferson? I wrote it down. Somebody told it to me last night. Shit. Oh, here it is. Justin Jefferson, they're working on a contract for Justin Jefferson, who has over 4,700 receiving yards in 3 years. It's the most in league history. Between 28 and 30 million annually. Between 28 and 30 annually. Justin Jefferson is going to sign a contract extension. Man. That's always Howie's boy, man. Well, hey, and better yet, if he goes to the Hall of Fame, too. Oh, and here, I want to throw one thing at you here about the Jordan Davis deal. 2021 NFL draft. Let me ask you this question here. Let me ask you this question here. Okay. 2022 draft, excuse me. 2022 NFL draft. Let me ask you this here. Let me see here. Player selections. Okay, here we go. Let me go down to where Jordan Davis was taken. All right, let me ask you something here. This is just kind of off the cuff here a little bit. If Tyreek Hill is getting $30 million, Jefferson will get between 30 and 32. Whew, wow. Do you think that Chris Olave could have helped the Eagles win the Super Bowl instead of Jordan Davis? Yes or no? Do you? Probably wouldn't have drafted a guy. Okay. You think Dotson, who went to the Commanders after Davis, do you think he could have helped the Eagles win the Super Bowl? You think Devin Lloyd could have helped the Eagles win a Super Bowl? How about Christian Watson? How about Kenny Walker, the kid in Seattle? This feels like a trap, but I love it. Tone. How about George Pickens? How many people think George Pickens could have helped the Eagles win the Super Bowl against Kansas City? You think George Pickens, the Georgia wideout? He was taken in the second round. Think he could have helped him? I'm going to stop this game. I think I'm making. I think I'm going to stop this game. I could have picked a couple guys to help me win. All those receivers you mentioned would have caught that Quez drop. Absolutely. It's kind of my point. All better than Quez. The defensive end and shit, McDuffie. McDuffie in Kansas City, too. Kevin? Oh, wait, I'm not done yet with my quarterbacks. Dude, I got Kyler Murray at 4. I don't know why, but I do. I guess because the rest of them are not as good. I just got Kyler Murray at 4. I got Matthew Stafford at 3. Won a Super Bowl. See what he does this year. Neil goes, why? I don't know. I got Jalen Hurts at number 2. And I got Aaron Rodgers, number 1. So look who really Jalen has to go through in the NFC. Matthew Stafford, Kyler Murray, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones. The only quarterback in the NFC that's better than him is Aaron Rodgers. That's it. This guy here, again, they're going to drop off in talent defensively. But his road to this game again, this NFC title game, who are they? I mean, I guess where Derek Carr lands and if Rodgers gets out of the NFC, who's the biggest threat to Jalen Hurts on being the best quarterback in the conference? It's watch this. So here's the most insane thing. Aaron Rodgers is battling it out with Jalen Hurts. Aaron Rodgers used to battle it out with Tom Brady, with Drew Brees, on who the best guys in the conference were. Now it's Jalen Hurts, Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, and Dak Prescott. The quarterback play in the NFC, you don't have to go through a tough road. There's nobody on that list that, again, except for the top 2 dudes. The rest of them, Kirk Cousins in a big game. Okay? Yale goes, Rodgers is done, and in the last 3 years, he's got 2 MVPs. I don't know. I'll tell you what, if he puts another shitty year back to let me see what a shitty year. Let me see what a shitty year for Aaron Rodgers is. Now let's compare that to Hurts. Because let's say this. Rodgers had a shitty year. Aaron Rodgers stats. Aaron Rodgers stats. Let's see what a shitty year is for Rodgers. He played in all 17 games. He was 64.6 completion percentage. Man, that's down for him. 3,700 passing yards. 26 touchdowns, 12 picks. 91 quarterback rating. So his worst year is Jalen's best year outside of the turnovers. And he threw the ball 542 compared to 425 and had 350 completions. That's his worst year in 14 years. That's a bad year? I don't know. Most teams would take them stats. 27 touchdowns, 3,700 yards. Most teams would take that. I mean, Jalen's an elite passer. Not by the numbers, he's not. Those stats don't mean shit. Okay, then neither does Jalen's. Neither does his then. Hurts obviously runs more than Rodgers. And? Are you not comparing Aaron Rodgers to Jalen Hurts to Aaron Rodgers, are you? I mean, right now, it'll be interesting. Again, once they start ripping that. Oh, and hey, and by the way, I hope they pay. And hey, Tone, I hope they give Jalen Hurts $50 million now. I hope they give him $50 million. Because then we're going to find out if he's Patrick Mahomes. The more money they give him, the more he's going to have to be like Mahomes with lesser team. Once he starts making 50, he'll never be on a team like he was. Here, I'll make this prediction to you. After that contract kicks in 2024, he'll never be on a team like he was in 2022 ever again. Ever again. Chris goes, I already know Hurts is a great quarterback. Did you also know that Wentz was a great quarterback after he helped get your team to a Super Bowl win and you paid him? Did you know that too, Chris? Eagles did. Chris, did you know that Wentz was elite and he was good? I'm sure you did. Or are you trying to change history and say you didn't after the Eagles and he played an MVP year? Well, then how come every single season statistic, Wentz owns him? He's your all-time passing leader for a single season and almost every stat. That's right, Yale. What makes somebody elite is not 1 year. He wasn't elite the year before. He was common. He was carried to the playoffs. This last year, he was the engine. Absolutely. 1 year doesn't make you elite. Consecutive years of consistency, that's elite. Not 1 year wonders. Do I think Jalen Hurts is a 1 year wonder? No. But that's all we have to go by now is 1 year. And that's not a $50 million price tag for me. But when they pay him that, he will have to be the guy in Kansas City. That is an absolute fact. And that's on the horizon. Like it is for every organization that has to make that critical decision. Small town says 1 year makes you elite. Is he right? Carson Wentz had one brilliant year. I guess you guys, that's your barometer, right? It's Carson Wentz. Okay. Not a problem with that. According to small town, 1 year's elite. The truth goes, he's elite right now. Oh, so elite is not consistency for you, right, Truth? It's 1 year. It's a few games. It's a few moments. Interesting. I see elite a little different. Like what Mahomes' resume is right now is elite. Is Josh Allen elite? Not yet. Is Burrow building an elite resume? Yes. 2 straight AFC championship games, a Super Bowl. He's getting there. I want to see what he does when he starts getting paid and they start having to get rid of guys, because they're going to have to start getting rid of guys in Cincinnati too to pay that dude. And he's up for a contract too. I want to see how that works out. Okay? That's one thing Peter's right on. Wentz is a champion. Hurts isn't. That's a fact. Good call. Never thought of it that way. Wentz is a champion. You don't win the Super Bowl in 17 without Carson Wentz playing the way he did that year. You don't. You don't have home field advantage. If Wentz doesn't play that well that year, like your guy played this last year, you don't win a Super Bowl. Oh, you think you did? If the Super Bowl and home field advantage doesn't run through Philly, you think you win the Super Bowl still? Wentz was a champion towel boy. Well, he's got a Super Bowl ring. It says Philadelphia Eagles on it. Jalen's got an NFC championship ring that says second place. Second place. He's got a second place ring. Wentz has a first place ring. That happens to be, wait a minute, a Tone, technically true. If the playoffs don't run through Philly, we don't win the Super Bowl. We don't even make it there. Let's be real. Agreed. See, according to some of the guys on Elite, 1 year makes you elite. You can't debate some of the things with some people because they must have obviously thought Carson Wentz was elite. Jalen won the playoff games, though. I don't care. Wentz has a Super Bowl ring with his name on it. And finished second in the MVP voting, too, that year, by the way. So funny, isn't it? All the things that Hurts went through this year, Wentz went through and actually got a ring. Interesting. Finished second in the MVP ratings that year. Probably should have won it, too. Yeah, that's right. Wentz was second in the MVP voting. They won the Super Bowl. And he's got a ring and an NFC champion. Pretty interesting. All the things that Jalen went through. Huh. Do you think we go to the NFC championship game? I want to see what they do, Dress, in free agency, and I want to see how and who they bring back and in the draft before I make that assessment. I think the offense is going to be really good again this year, though. Okay? They gave the water boy a ring. And the water boy finished second in the MVP voting. Oh, I see. After the fact, right? Right, Joseph? After the fact, he's a bum. Back then, though. Oh, he's a saving grace. Here's a contract extension, $38 million. This guy's elite. He's a franchise guy. Now he's a third, right? All right. 1 year. Some Eagle fans think 1 year makes you elite. How funny is that? I love it how you go like this. One sucks. Oh, wait a minute. He couldn't have sucked. He finished second, too, like Jalen did in the MVP voting. How's that possible? Oh, man. They want to ban our play. I know. Hey, GT. Hey, GT. Watch this. If Kansas City had come up with that rugby scrum play, or let's see, who else? Pete Carroll or Belichick? No, if Belichick came up with it, they'd have banned it too. But if Andy Reid or Sean Payton or Kyle Shanahan had come up with the scrum play the Eagles run to perfection. They'd be like innovative, unbelievable, coach thinking out of the box. But because it's the Eagles, they're like this, gotta outlaw it. This thing here, man, no good for football. It sucks. It's not really a football play. That's not a football play. Pushing the guy, come on, man. I'm like, hey, okay, what are you gonna do next? Ban the Hail Mary pass? Right? Hey, that's not really football either. No, man. Yeah, well, neither is shootouts in hockey. Things suck. Shootouts in hockey. Whatever. The bodybuilding podcast goes, come on, man. Hurts has been elite at every level. Really? He got fired in Alabama. Got his ass destroyed by Joe Burrow and LSU and Oklahoma. Elite where? What last year? He had one good year. Your definition of elite is not, if he was elite, he'd been a first-round pick. Even the Eagles knew he wasn't. Even the Eagles knew he wasn't. If he was elite, he'd be a first-round pick. That's not elite. With no defense. Okay, Oklahoma, I give you that. Alabama, why did he lose his job at Alabama? Because he wasn't accurate. And the coach didn't believe in him. That's more on Saban failing, though, to coach him right. He didn't want to Saban didn't want to take time to coach Jalen because he had another guy behind him. Bodybuilding podcast. Nick Saban's going around now kissing Jalen's ass. At the end of the day, he didn't want to take the time to coach him. So he benched him. Imagine that. Nick Saban, the great college coach and evaluator of talent, didn't want to coach the kid. That just shows you he's more of a recruiter than a coach. That's why he failed in the NFL. Think of that. Nick Saban failed in the NFL because of why? Of exactly why Jalen Hurts was benched in Alabama. He didn't know talent. He didn't have the patience to coach players. He's a great recruiter. He's not a great coach. Nick Saban's not a great coach. Or the whole situation between Jalen and Tua Tagovailoa would have been different. He sat there and looked at Tua and said, he's more accurate. We're going with him. Benched him. In the middle of the national title game. Benched him. Just threw Tua in. He's more accurate. We're out of here. That was the end of Jalen Hurts in Alabama. Instead of being coached with all those great coaches, he didn't want to take the time to coach him. Now he's going around saying, it doesn't shock me. He's the guy he is and this and that. What a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, truth. Jalen's improved. Why? Hard work and coaching. Yes. The thing I just said that they failed at Alabama. Jalen went underrated? Yeah, where did that start, bodybuilding podcast? Alabama. Where did the notion that Jalen was an elite quarterback start? True. Yale. Where did the notion and who put the tag on Jalen that he wasn't elite? Where did that first rear its head? That people looked at Jalen and said, he's not really a frontline guy. Who started that? Who started that? Where did that take place? Where did that take place? That started in Alabama. Jalen Hurts has never been considered elite in college. Good. You know who he was in college? Tommy Frazier with an arm. That's how they saw him. Even the Eagles, when they drafted him as a seatbelt for Wentz. They didn't draft him anymore or any way other than that. And I've said to you many times, 90% of the people and that market hated the second-round pick. Sills, how long do you think Bryce Young will last in the league? Boy, Joseph, 5'10 and a half, 180. 5'10 and a half, 180. I never thought I would ever say this. Watch this. I'm going to take my chance on C.J. Stroud, and I hate all Ohio State quarterbacks. I'd rather take my shot at him. Okay? At least he's a prototype. I think, like Sean Payton does, I think when you are drafting in the first round and you've got a top 10 pick, I think you got to go prototype. I don't think that you could take some gamble on some schwimp like that. Dude, do I think Bryce Young's a great football player? Who was the kid that played at Florida State, Yale? That I think didn't lose any games. Maybe he lost one game. Who was the guy that played for the Knicks? What was the guy's name that played for the Knicks? FSU guy. Played with Derek Brooks. Who was the guy's name? Charlie Ward. Thank you, Kevin. Okay? Charlie Ward. Okay? People looked at him and they were like, man, I don't know. He's not that big a dude. You know, at least he was taller, but he wasn't that big a dude. Okay? And everyone was like, man, they were going to draft him in the third round. This guy, Charlie Ward, was a massive winner at Florida State. Seriously, I think he lost one game in 3 years. He's one of the greatest college football quarterbacks ever in college. And I thought he had great skills. I'm like, 5'10 and a half, 180. Am I going to make that guy? And remember something. People go, well, you know, guys that are under 6 feet and 6 feet, there's some guys that have succeeded in the league. Yeah, but nobody was the first pick. You know, there's only one first-round pick. That's a guy that's 6 foot or under that has made it. Breeze wasn't a first-rounder. Flutie wasn't a first-rounder. Sonny Jurgensen wasn't a first-rounder. Fran Tarkenton wasn't a first-rounder. Kyler Murray's the only guy. There's nobody that's been drafted like that, that's 6 foot or under, that has had success at quarterback. And you want to make him the number 1 overall pick? I don't know. Coach goes, Bryce Young is elite. I'll tell you what, he's got elite ability. He has far below elite mechanics. And I don't mean mechanics where he doesn't have a touch pass. Dude, 5'10 and a half. Name me a guy in the league 5'10 and a half that's not a wide receiver, 180. Are there wide receivers in the league 5'10 and a half, 180? Shit, man, most receivers are 200 pounds, 195. Are there any corners 5'10 and a half, 180? He would be the smallest dude in the league at any position, not just quarterback. Good luck, man. Yale goes, he needs to get back in the gym. Yale. I mean, he should hit his mom. I mean, I don't think you can fix this, dude. Smith is 6 feet, 170. Okay. I've seen wide receivers like that succeed. This guy's 5'10 and a half. Devontae's bigger. Dude, the gym won't help him. Stetson Bennett will not be drafted. He'll be a UDFA, undrafted free agent. You're talking physical stature? Well, you kind of need that in the NFL. You kind of have to have some size to you. I mean, you're not playing badminton, or we're not sitting here talking about shuttlecocks. That's the bird that goes over the net. In case you guys were asking, what's a shuttlecock? It's the thing that badminton, you know, you hit the thing and it's kind of like the bird and Yeah. Yeah. No. Right? Ward Ton was also on that day. He was, man. His career is up in the no. Yeah, someone's going to draft him. Hey, I got to take a timeout, don't I, Tone? Holy cow, I've blown past it a little bit. I want to look at the undrafted running backs for the Eagles to look at. Or no, the free agent running backs, excuse me, and some of the potential draft running backs that are going to be heading into this draft. Please hit the like button. Keep